Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Spiritual Journey podcast. And welcome to 2025 is the first thing I wanted to say. But the second thing I always love to do is just thank everybody for this podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of our journey. Thank you for allowing us to guide you. When I started this podcast, my objective was to really use my voice to guide people on their journey. And with the messages we receive on a weekly basis, is clearly doing that. So thank you. As I said, my name is Nimesh Radia. I'm your host. I'm just a quick intro. I'm an Akashic record reader, Akashic trainer, podcast host, podcast creator, as well as a spiritual coach and mentor. I love what I get to do. I get to help people, to guide people to truly be their authentic selves, to understand and release their programming, to really become aware and accept who they are, and then from there become who they're meant to be. So if my voice inspires you in any way, please reach out. Maybe we're meant to partner. Maybe we're meant to work together. And like I said, Happy New Year. Welcome to the new energy, new vibration. We'll talk a little bit about it before we get into the topic. But this podcast wouldn't be where it is today without my beautiful co-host, the stunning, the healer extraordinaire, and published author Stacey Brown. Stace, you know how to do it, right? And also it's New Year, so I'm trying to put you on the spot a little bit. So Stacey Brown, can you introduce yourself, please?
Welcome, friends. It's so good to be in the new year with you, and I am excited to be here. My name is Stacey. I'm an intuitive. I do readings for people from around the world. I'm also a spiritual mentor and coach and an Akashic record reader. I'm a recently published author. My book, Journey to Soul Center, Discovering the Gift of Surrender, is available on Amazon and Audible. I can't believe we've made it to 2025.
Still, I mean, just so everyone knows, in true kind of transparency, we were actually recording this on New Year's Eve, but we're shifting into the energy of 2025. But it is crazy that we're just about to start 2025, and by the time you listen to this, we're already in 2025. I just, I feel and kind of really think about what my energy was like through 2024, and I feel like I talked a lot about, well, the energy is still intense. It's almost like I felt the energy was going to be less intense at some point. But honestly, 2024, the whole year felt super intense. And do I regret it's finished? I feel 2024 was expansive. I feel like I'm always going to look back at 2024, and that was the year I left corporate and really kind of dedicated my life to what I'm here to do. Has it been a roller coaster? Yes. Has it been a lot of lessons? Yes. Has it been intense? Yes, it has. Am I glad to see the back of it? I feel I'd say more I'm excited about the new energy and the new vibration. I guess that means yes, I'm excited to see the back of it. Stacey, I do want to talk about the energy of 2025 a little bit, but I'd love to hear more about from you in terms of what's your feeling on 2024 and kind of what you went through energetically.
I'm so happy to be done with 2024. I am so happy to be done with it. It has been a year of transition. It has been a year of intense energy. It has been upheaval for me, and I'm looking forward to 2025, and I hope being a little bit more settled in my energy and a little bit more settled in my life. And I don't know if that's what it's going to bring, but that's what I'm hopeful for. And I couldn't be happier to be saying goodbye to 2024.
That's interesting. I mean, I feel like a lot of people would agree with you in terms of the energy and the vibration. I still feel like a lot of us are going to look back at 2024 as a pivotal year of change.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of feel that might be the same for you. I mean, there's a lot of things shifted for all of us, right, in 2024. And, 2025 starts with a bang. I guess you're going to be in the UK for a few months from actually this week, the 9th, and a week with me, and then like 3 months in Yorkshire or wherever you're going to be. So definite different start for you for 2025 than
Mhm.
2024. Let's talk a little bit about what our feelings for January in 2025 is. For me, energetically, I still feel January is kind of closing out 2024, and really the fresh energy of 2025 will probably begin in February. And really, from a spiritual perspective, the new year normally begins in spring. So I feel like there is a new energy, a new vibration that you can really kind of grasp for 2025. But I also feel like January is going to be a lot about being a transitional month from 2024 to 2025. And spiritually speaking, the calendar the calendar year is more of a human thing. But there are a lot of shifts, right? If you look at the planetary shifts in January, there's a lot. So the nodes, which really kind of the north node represents our growth and kind of what we're becoming. The south node represents, what we're leaving behind. And the last time they shifted was I believe it was in 2022. On January 11th, they shift again. So on January 11th, they shift to Pisces and Virgo. So you can do a lot of reading about it, etc. But the nodes kind of represent our destiny and kind of more of our spiritual journey than our horoscopes. It's not like January 11th comes and all of a sudden there's like a massive shift, but you'll start to feel the energy being different from the 11th. And then we have the full moon on the 13th. So, and as I said, we're releasing this on the 6th. So the next 7 days with the nodal shifts and the full moon. As I said, January for me is an energetic shift. So allow your energy to be, which is actually why we picked this week's episode, which we'll talk about in a second. But just also to mention that January 13th, the full moon, we do have our monthly Zoom session on that day. So me and Stacey do a 90-minute free Zoom session where you get to kind of experience our energy in a different sort of way. You join us on Zoom. We will, for those that haven't joined, we talk about the current energy. We have a conscious conversation with whoever joins. And we'll always do a guided meditation. Normally I do a guided meditation. Whatever comes through. And then both me and Stacey will channel the message through the Akashic Records for the collective. We love doing it. It's one of our favorite things to do. So join us on the 13th. And before we jump into this week's episode, Stacey, I'd love to hear 2025 and January in particular. What's your feeling? How are you feeling about the shift and kind of the beginning of the new year?
I think when we're going into the beginning of a new year, there's always a lot of excitement and anticipation about what's coming next and having that new beginning. And we say goodbye to an old year and kind of wash that away. So I feel like there's anticipation and excitement around a new year and what that holds for us. And for me, I'm excited about seeing what a new year holds and kind of getting through 2024. I think for a lot of us, we were in survival mode by the time we got to the end of 2024, and just a lot of us holding on like for dear life as we made it through the end of it. And I think as we go into a new year, there's just kind of this reset, like we're hitting the reset button and we get to experience something new. And so for me, there's a lot of excitement. Even though the holidays are over, I know a lot of people look at January as like a darker time because there's not the excitement and anticipation of the holiday season. But for me, saying goodbye to all of that chaos and welcoming in some quiet, peaceful time at the beginning of a new year is really powerful.
And it's interesting, right? I mean, previously on New Year's, I always kind of wanted to be busy around lots of people. And the last few years and this year as well, I want to start the year in a peaceful way. I mean, Christmas for me was chaotic. There was a lot of people here. I have a big family, so there was 20 plus people here for dinner, and it was great. I had lots of loving times, and But it just feels like 2025 is really about being present. And that's why we picked the topic that we did, right? So this week's topic is all about the power of stillness and finding peace in the present moment. And you probably heard me talk about, how much control do we really have? I feel like we're going through a massive shift as a planet. We're going through a massive shift individually. We're shifting from the divine masculine to the divine feminine. And what that shift really means is masculine is all about power, control, money, business. And if you look at the last few centuries, whatever you want to look at, it has all been about control, wars, money, egos. And the feminine is all about the heart. It's all about community. It's all about connecting more with our guides and being present in the moment. And that's where I feel this energy is right now. That's why this topic felt really important. Because if you're real with yourself, look at the last few years. How much control have we really had? For me, ever since lockdown, it's kind of felt like that's when we kind of got on the roller coaster, and things have kind of continued to shift since then. And if we're honest with ourselves, we haven't really had a lot of control. I mean, who could have predicted lockdown and COVID and all of that sort of stuff? And if you look at your journey since then, I'm sure a lot of things have changed, and a lot of things that you used to do don't excite you anymore. Maybe your friend circle's changed or shifted or got smaller. It has for me, for sure. And it has for Stace too. And really, for a lot of people, maybe they're still focused on the past and the way things used to be. Or, everybody can feel a shift and a change that's coming within them and outside of them. And you're focusing on the future and you're stressing about the future. And let's be honest, the planet is going through a lot of crisis, right? If you look at all the wars and all the weather thing and all the kind of just the natural disasters that happen, all the weather, and the planet is clearly going through a shift. And at the same time, us as individuals, we're going through that same shift. And most people can feel a shift happening, and everybody wants to know what it is. Because humans, change is unnatural, right? We love routine. And a lot of people say, I love change. I'd say most people love change as long as they can see it coming and they can control it. This change that's coming, we can't control. But the only thing we can control is this moment. Being present in this moment. And that's why this episode and picking this topic felt really, really important in terms of the power of stillness, the power of being present in this moment. And just finding peace in this present moment. And I wasn't going to do this, but I just thought, let's do it. If you're in this moment, you can just stop. If you're working, sure, keep working, etc. But if you can just stop and just be present in the moment. What can you be grateful for in this moment? And be intentional with the gratitude. Pick a moment that's magical for you. Maybe it's a moment over Christmas. Maybe it's a moment with family. And then get back to this moment. Breathe. Feel your power inside you. Feel the energy around you. This is where you have control. You have control of this moment. What do you choose to focus on in this moment? This is the control you have. But there's also a lot of power there, right? Whatever you choose to focus on expands. So in this moment, if you choose to explore, focus on joy, then maybe you get more joy. If you choose to focus on gratitude, maybe you get more things to be grateful for. If you focus on lack, then maybe that's what you get more of. Because this is the thing, it's like a lot of people feel like they haven't got control of their life because so much is shifting in the planet. But you have control of this moment. And there's so much power in this moment. Because this is where you connect with your guides. This is where you connect with your own energy, your own vibration. We'll talk about how to get more still through the episode, but really, the stillness is this is where you can truly listen in this moment to your heart and soul. This is where you can listen to your guides. And when you're focused on the past or the future, this is really where you're being human. You're stuck in your ego. Because you can't change the past unless you've got a time machine. I haven't. And the future will take care of itself if you truly focus on the moment and the magic in this moment. So I guess as we introduce this topic, and I know the intro has gone a little while, but this is where your power is. In the power of stillness, in the power of the present moment, in the magic of this moment. And hopefully that process that we just did helps you to truly connect with your heart and soul, your breathing. And let's be honest, it is challenging, right? When things are so busy and there's so much going on, especially with the festive period, but just overall, where we're overthinking, we get distracted by what's happened in the past or what's coming. I know a lot of people are struggling maybe financially or just soul contracts coming to an end, relationships coming to an end. It really is a time where it's difficult to embrace the stillness. Maybe you're getting lost in all the wars in the world and what's happening on the planet, and kind of getting lost in all of that, in the politics of the world. But it really is a magical time to embrace the silence, embrace the stillness. What does embracing the stillness mean to you, Stace?
It means getting quiet and separating myself from the chaos of the day to day and really being introspective. And it's interesting because, we have this busy season as we close out the year of the holidays, and there's expectation and there's commitment and there's time with family and friends, and everything is really busy. And then all of a sudden it stops. And I think a lot of people don't know what to do when all of that chaos stops. And yet that's where the power is, right? Is when we can take that time and be still and present with ourselves and reflect on what we've experienced in the last year and be intentional about what we want for the new year. So for me, this time is about getting quiet with myself and really having that reflective time to look back on what I've experienced and how it's impacted me, and to ring in the new year in a more peaceful, calm, and loving way.
Beautiful. And it is really interesting as the run up to Christmas, everybody's busy, lots of events, lots of maybe buying presents or whatever, and then Christmas comes and it's chaos or maybe it's quiet. But it's everybody's in a similar routine up until that point, whatever you do. But then Christmas is so varying for so many different people. And, everybody celebrates Christmas in the same way, right? And it's just, but it is all the time when most of us get to slow down. But it's also interesting that once you slow down, a lot of people get ill.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people get colds, flus, and it's just interesting too. And then January comes and there's so much pressure. What's your New Year's resolutions? Well, what are you going to do differently? And what are you, and it puts the societal pressure to be productive and to pick New Year's resolutions. I'm not a huge fan of New Year's resolutions because realistically, how long do they last? And if you want to make change, then I always recommend kind of making lasting change. And that's why I always say, kind of repetition is mother skill. If you're going to create lasting change, then you need to do something for, I'd say, well, most people recommend a minimum of 21 days. I would say ideally 90 days. And I will talk about, kind of some things you could do. But I guess the other thing to talk about is, why are we busy? And a lot of times we manifest busyness because if we slow down, we would truly connect with how we truly feel.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if there's healing that we need to do, or if there's a lot of the time we will manifest being busy because we don't want to deal with what's happening inside.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a difficult conversation, right? And it's that. So as listeners, let me ask you, what's happening inside you that you've been struggling to deal with? And are you manifesting being busy in your life because there's a part of you that is fearful about dealing with what's happening inside? When was the last time you slowed down and had a true and honest conversation with yourself? Because there is fear in the silence, right?
Very much so.
So how do you feel about silence, Stace?
I think if I tried to get silent during the holidays, it would be really challenging because there's so much happening around me. And I think it's a good excuse for a lot of people to avoid dealing with anything because we do have so much going on. And then after we deal with it, right, after we have the holidays and the chaos and everything gets quiet, I think it can be a real struggle for people. For me, I look forward to it because I know that in that space, that's where my aha moments happen when I'm taking the time to reflect and contemplate and I'm turning inward. That's where the clarity comes from. And so for me, I get excited about the quiet because I know that's going to be a time for me to have those moments of understanding a little bit more of what's going on with me, what I want for the new year, what I don't want for the new year. Setting intentions can happen in the quiet. So for me, it's a beautiful time. It's a beautiful thing to think about getting quiet.
And I couldn't agree more. I love it. I love just being present. And look, we're all human, right? So there's times when my mind is stuck in the past or the future too, right? We're a soul having human experience. But I do know there's so much power in silence. There's so much power in being present. And there's so many benefits. Because for me, in that silence is when I connect to my guides. It's when I connect to source. It's where I get so much clarity in what's happening inside me. It also is the time when, you can heal. And it's that, how can you listen to your heart and soul if your mind is so busy?
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you that clarity. And it gives you that kind of ability to gain guidance, to listen to your issue and become more creative. It's interesting. It's like the power of stillness, the power of silence isn't actually about becoming silent. It's about quieting the mind to listen to your heart and soul.
Mm-hmm.
And I always recommend I've been recommending this for 20 years plus, is whenever I start working with people, there's three things I always recommend, but one of the three is being silent for 10 minutes daily. And everyone always says, well, I can't sit in silence. My mind's too busy. But everyone kind of tries to meditate or sit in silence once and gives up. Stace always likes talking about you can't go to the gym one time and get a six pack, right? This is the same.
Mm-hmm.
I'd always recommend 10 minutes silence every day. And basically, it's your time. So when you sit in silence, if a thought comes in, let it come, let it go. Just breathe. Don't get annoyed, because this is what we do is we try and sit in silence for 10 minutes. Within 10 seconds, we get a thought and we get annoyed ourselves. You're like, well, I can't do, there's no chance I can do 10 minutes. I can't even do 30 seconds. But, you have to do something consistently. So if a thought comes in, let it come, let it go.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get lots of thoughts for 10 minutes, let them come, let them go. Don't get annoyed. Just be present. Think of it as your time. And do this. I recommend doing this for 21 days. And things will start to shift. And what happens is you start to truly hear what's happening inside you. Your mind starts to become a little bit more quiet so you can actually listen to you. Whereas what happens before, your mind's always busy. You have so many thoughts. Your ego's always talking. Whereas when you can spend time for 10 minutes daily, which is your time, you'll start to be more present in the conversation. And it means that you can actually be more power. You can be more present. You can be more still. You can be more, just be more. For me, if I was to summarize and recommend what to do right now, it's just to be.
Mm-hmm.
Just to be. And I recommend, there's so much more you can do. You can, I would always start with the 10 minutes, 10 minutes silence, but meditations, there's so many meditation apps that you can listen to 10 minutes a day or longer. But meditation is such a beautiful thing to do, focusing on your breath. There's lots of things you can listen to on YouTube. There's, high vibrational music or high vibrational sound that you can listen to, which is another great way. Grounding, and we'll do a grounding exercise at the end. Stacey's going to do one. And that's such a beautiful thing to do. And depending where you are, the weather's probably crazy, but spending time in nature and just being present, allowing nature to heal you, whether it's standing barefoot in grass, whether it's standing in water, being grounded is such a powerful thing to do right now. And if you're in nature, then be present. Look at the beauty around you. And maybe you put on an alert on your phone to remind you to be present in the moment. Just do the exercise we did at the beginning, just for 10 seconds. Just put a reminder for every hour, wherever, you just stop and you be present. What do you feel in that moment? I mean, journaling is obviously another powerful thing to do. And Stacey, I'm going to let you talk about journaling because I know it's one of your favorite things.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much power in journaling. Like, if you can't get still with yourself in that silence, I would absolutely say pick up a pen and your journal and allow yourself the space to write and be reflective. Whether it's taking a moment to have gratitude and, intentionally list some things that you're grateful for, whether it's being reflective of 2024 and the impact that it's had on your life. It could even be anticipating what you want for 2025 and setting some intentions for what you want for the new year. All of these things are very powerful practices and things that can allow you to feel more connected with yourself and with what you want, right? What do you truly desire in this new year? And being intentional about it with your writing is a very powerful way to connect.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, all of these things allow you to just be present in the moment. And for me, that's what the magic really is. If you want to shift anything this year, the only way, and again, maybe this is just my opinion, but the only way you're going to do it, and the thing is to be present in the moment. That's where the magic happens.
Mm-hmm.
Without it, you're stuck. You're stuck in your ego. You're stuck in your mind. You're stuck in, and it's in those silence you listen to your intuition. You listen to the message from your guides. You get. That's where the magic, the true magic is.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to do something different this year, I always recommend trying to pick the same space. If you're going to do meditation, if you're going to do time in silence, try and do it from the same space, because what you're doing if you do that is you're kind of creating a portal for yourself. Any healing that you do, if you do it from the same space, you create power in that space.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you have to, but for example, Akashic record readings, I always try and do them from exactly the same space. There's a space in my house, and Stacey's seen it, where it's in the kitchen, right? And I know there's a portal there, and there's a part of it is what I've created by doing so many Akashic readings there, but there is power in creating a sacred space.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe create a meditation space for you in your home if you've got the space.
And it doesn't have to be anything fancy.
100%.
Right? It just has to be a space where you can get quiet with yourself. I mean, for me in my old house, it was my closet. That was my one space where I could find quiet space and that time to be reflective with myself. So finding a space doesn't have to be something, where you have a whole room to yourself. It just needs to be a space where you can create that portal of connection.
Yeah, and Stacey talks about her closet a lot in her book, and that's when you have a lot of chaos in your life, finding that space for you and put intention around it, right? If you've got a chaotic household, then put a bubble around it, and it may not always work, but you'll be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it'll if you start to use that space all the time for your peace, then what you'll do is you'll create a healing space.
Mm-hmm.
The being mindful and being present ultimately allows you to create a void. It's just I can't underestimate how much it means on your spiritual journey. Because that place of that void, that moment of silence, really is a place of rebirth and transformation.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess if you take anything from this, is the more that you can just take time to be present every moment, every day, multiple times a day, and be honest with yourself. What are you really feeling? And what if you can be mindful in other ways? If you're walking, if you're eating, be present. How often do you eat but you don't actually taste the food?
Mm-hmm.
What if you decide one meal today when you eat, you're going to eat in silence, but you're going to actually taste the food? I mean, Stace, be honest, how often? I try and do it, and sometimes I'm in a rush, but I try and do really mindful activities. Like if I'm eating, I'll try and be mindful what I'm eating. How does it really taste?
Mm-hmm.
Especially if I'm walking in nature, I try and be present. I mean, how is it for you? Do you find it easy to be present through your daily activities? What do you do that helps?
No, I definitely have to carve out space for it. I'm always anticipating what's coming next, constantly looking at my calendar. Who do I have a session with? What appointment do I have? What's happening? So I have to be really intentional about creating those pockets of time to be present. And for me, I do really well during the day when my daughter's at school. In between sessions, I'll kind of have a reset for myself and bring myself back to the present moment. If I'm being really transparent, I'm leaving for the UK for 3 months and I leave in a week. And there's part of me that's anticipating that trip and the packing and the preparing and the how long I'm going to be gone and all of those things that pushes me out of this present moment and into anticipating what's coming next. And I have to be really intentional and rein it in and bring myself back to this present moment. And in this present moment, I'm recording a podcast with you and I'm talking about 2025 and I'm focused and in this moment, recognizing that this is all we have is this moment. And I have to constantly do that reset to bring myself back into the present moment. So if you're somebody whose mind races and you're constantly anticipating what's coming next, I see you and I know how challenging it can be. But it's got to be something where you intentionally say, okay, I have to bring myself back into this moment and do a reset. And I have to do it several times a day and sometimes several times an hour, depending on what's happening in my life. What about you?
I mean, it's the same, which is why I'm recommending like the reminders on the phone. I haven't done it in a while, but I have kind of preset alarms that I can set on it. Everyone talks about, kind of the numbers, so 1111, 1010, 0909, and each of the numbers means something to me, right? And, the work I've done with Sidra, 0101 means unity, 0202 means wisdom, 0303 means connection, 04 is expansion, 5 is vision, 6 creativity. There's 7 is healing, 8 is consciousness, 9 is peace. It's just, but whatever you do, just if setting those alarms and being present, creating something. I struggle with it too, right? It really depends on what I'm doing, but there are other things that help. Crystals. I mean, while I'm recording, I'm holding a shivling, right? It's just that different crystals make me feel different. So shivling's not a crystal; it's more of a stone. But when I feel it, it's because I've infused it and I've used it a lot. It does make me feel calm. Makes me feel more present. Before we started doing recording, we did a quick grounding exercise, and we're going to do a grounding exercise as part of this podcast. Kind of just doing things that work for you, essential oils, calming music. But yeah, I mean, I have to admit, Stacey, you're talking about a 3-month trip. I came back in December, but I took a 3-week trip, and I remember kind of trying to decide what to pack. It was in Asia, Singapore, and Bali, and I was like, I can't even imagine what it's like to pack for 3 months. So I don't. I'm sure you figure out, but I'm sure that's a bit more crazy. But
It is, but I could stay focused in that energy, right? And let that consume me. Or I can bring myself back to the present moment and be conscious of what's happening around me. And I think that's where the real power lies, is in being able to reset yourself. And this
100,
is something that takes practice. Like Nimesh was saying, I talk all the time about you can't go to the gym once and think you're going to see results. It's the consistency in showing up. And if we treated the spiritual body like the physical body and that it's a muscle that you can strengthen, which it is, then we can see that the more effort we put in, the more results we're going to get. And the more intentional we are with our thoughts and how we regulate them, the more present we become and the more power we have.
very true. And using your example of the 3 month packing, if you started getting lost in, oh my God, how are you going to pack? Is you got enough space and the anxiety of it all, then you wouldn't get anything done. So that's a great example of the power of being present.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on what you can change, because, and that's the other powerful thing is focusing on what you can change. And it's a beautiful, if you're stressing about something, then just stop and breathe and ask yourself, well, can I actually change what I'm stressing about? The other thing to ask is, the thing I'm stressing about, if I think of the same thing in 3 months' time, am I still going to be stressed about it?
Mm-hmm.
If the answer is no, then it's not worth being stressed about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just, for me, the silence has such a big impact on my life. It's allowed me to receive messages, it's allowed me to feel the connection, the energy, and the vibration around me. It's allowed me to record this podcast, right? It's just, I remember at the beginning, I was lost in, have I got the right mic? Have I got the right software? Have I got this? Have I got that? But then a friend recommended just record, and I was like, and I sat down with my MacBook and my AirPods and just recorded the first episode. And it's just, but you talk yourself out of so much, and it's just a regular access of silence allows you to be present. Because the other thing is, we're a soul having a human experience, which means that we've got to have the human experience, which means we've got to do the healing. So many people want to bypass the healing experience, want a kind of a quick solution, some sort of big epiphany, some sort of flash in the sky, and all of a sudden, I'll know what my gifts are, I'll know what my purpose is. And most of the time, it doesn't work that way. Most of the time, you've got to do the healing work, really
Mm-hmm.
kind of have an honest conversation with yourself. And that healing and knowing what you've got to heal and the inner child work. And this is why we guide people, right? Because we help people understand the programming that we do on autopilot,
Mm-hmm.
which actually stops us doing the healing. And doing the inner child work, doing the healing work, connecting with our guides, it's essential on the spiritual journey.
Mm-hmm.
So how much has being in silence had an impact on you, Stace? How has it helped you in your journey?
It's helped me so much because naturally I'm a worrier. I'm naturally somebody that anticipates or is thinking about what's coming next. And the discipline of learning to be in the present moment has been a powerful transition for me because it gives me this constant reflective space to think about what I've gone through and what the lessons are. And I think without that, how do we learn and grow, right? If we're constantly thinking about what's coming next instead of what's happening right now, how are we supposed to take the lessons that are coming our way and integrate them into our psyche? For me, being present and really focusing on this moment has been something that has been transformative for me, but it's something I have to work at. Okay. It doesn't come naturally for me. For some people, it does. For some people, they can just be in the present moment and they have no issue doing that. But naturally, I anticipate what's coming next. And I attribute some of that to being a parent. and always having kids that you've had to look after and anticipating what they need next and where this kid needs to be and where this one needs to be and what's happening next and who needs to eat and who hasn't eaten and what do they like all of those things over so many years have developed this kind of habit in me to be anticipating what comes next. And that comes second nature. But I have to really be conscious in thinking about being in the present moment and have the discipline to put myself there.
There's so much power in that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Stacey, how do we feel about doing the grounding now? So, how does that, do you feel ready? Is it a good time to do a
Yeah.
grounding process?
Yes. I
All
think
right.
it's a great time to do a grounding process.
So we're going to do a grounding process. Stacey's going to start, and I may add to it. We'll talk about it afterwards, but this is a beautiful thing to do regularly.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to choose to do anything from this podcast, choose to do this grounding thing, a grounding activation, whether it's this one, whether it's your own, on a regular basis. Stace, I'm going to hand over to you.
Yeah, I have to say this has been a powerful practice for me. And it's something that we do with all of our clients before we start a session. And it has made a huge difference. And we can thank one of our clients for being the reason that we started doing this, because she suggested it and we haven't looked back. And we've gotten an amazing feedback from everybody that we've done this with. So if you're in a space where you can take a moment for yourself, I encourage you to close your eyes and take a nice, deep, cleansing breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And again, another nice, deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And at this time, we want to welcome in all our angels and our guides, any ancestors, any past lives, any archangels, any higher level beings who are here to assist and support with this process. We ask you to form a circle around us. We ask at this time that this space be protected with a bubble of white light, and that only things that are meant for our highest good come through at this time. We ask that anything that is not for our highest good be returned to Source with love. We ask that this space be protected as we do our best to be present in this moment, feeling the power of now, knowing that the future is something that is unknown, and that this moment is all that we have. We ask to turn inward at this time, to be reflective on how far we've come, to look at the past year and all of the things that we've overcome, everything that brought us to this space, all the lessons that we have learned, all the growth that we've experienced. We thank you for the opportunity to grow, to heal, and to learn. We thank you for the power of now, knowing that this moment is all that truly exists. Nimesh, what would you like to add at this time?
In this moment, just take a moment to feel the energy around you. Feel the energy inside you. We call in your guides, Feel their presence. Feel the love around you. Feel how much you're held at this time. I call in Gaia, Mother Earth, to ground us further, to heal us. I ask us to open our hearts to feel the love of the Divine Mother. Allow yourself to feel how supported you are. Feel your connection to God, to Source, whoever or whatever God or Source looks like to you. Feel your connection to your higher self. Be present in the magic of this moment. Take a moment to be proud of who you are. Know and accept that you chose to be here. Your soul is needed and wanted. We repeat, you're needed, you're wanted, and you're loved. Be present in this moment. Be present in the magic of this moment. Choose to heal in the magic of this moment. Focus on the power of who you are in this moment. Commit to use your voice, shine your light in this moment. Release everything you're holding on to and embrace the new version of who you are. We thank you. Stacey, I'm handing it back to you.
We're so thankful for the power of now and the beauty that this present moment holds. We thank you for creating this pocket of space for us to be intentional at this time. We thank you for the connection that we have with you, our soul family. Thank you, thank you, thank you. When you're ready, take another nice deep cleansing breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Open your eyes and welcome back.
Thank you, Stace. Allowing everybody just to come back. So that was a 5-minute grounding exercise that we did. As Stace was saying, we do that at the beginning of every one of our sessions. Normally it's a bit shorter because obviously we only have limited time with our clients. And as Stace was saying, one of our clients recommended this, and it's because the mentorship sessions we have, there's always so much that happens in an hour. There's so much we go through. And it's just a nice thing to do before you get into that space. So if you, maybe you also do a quick grounding if you're going to go into a big meeting, or, if you're going to have people over, or you put a bubble around you, and it's just a good thing to do regularly. So by all means, use the one that we've recorded. Obviously it's available to you as a podcast and at all times. There's all the other grounding things you can do, but it's a powerful thing to be present. So yeah, something we'd highly recommend. How is it for you, Stace?
I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do with clients, and I think has had a real impact in my life in bringing me to the present moment. So powerful.
I love it. I love it. This for me is every episode is powerful and important. But it's this being present and being still in the moment, for me, is so important on our spiritual journey. So as listeners, I hope you found this episode useful. Is there any topics you'd like us to cover? Please let us know. And if you take anything from this episode, I would recommend 10 minutes silence a day. And really make a commitment, maybe a reminder on your phone or whatever it looks like, but to take moments through the day and to be present. How you really feel. Because again, the more you start to do this, the more that you'll actually start to be present. And the more that you'll actually start to feel what you're feeling. So thank you again, Stace. As we close this episode, I'm going to ask you for any final thoughts. And if there are any journal prompts that you want to share with our listeners to help people to be present.
So I think it would be really powerful to grab your journal and first be reflective on 2024. What are the lessons that you've learned? What are the takeaways that you've had? What's made an impact on you this past year? And then what are you going to do in this season to be more present and in the moment? What are you going to do to be more intentional? How are you going to show up so that you're more in the now than anticipating what's next? Make a plan for yourself, get intentional, try our grounding exercise a couple of times and see if that works for you. My friends, this year has the potential to be something really beautiful, but it all starts in this moment.
Powerful, powerful episode, Stace. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Just so everyone knows, the next episode we'll record. Actually, maybe not the next one, the one after. Stacey will be here in person. So we're going to try and do different things while Stacey's here. And if there's anything you'd like us to do, let us know. Sending you so much love and light out. Really embrace this newness of this vibration, the energy. Embrace the nodal changes on the 11th. Embrace the full moon. Join us on the Zoom call. I'll include the link in the show notes. It's free. Previous episodes, we've published a meditation and the Akashic group message goes with it. So listen to that if you want to know what it's like. But we're excited about what this year brings. We're excited about this podcast. We're so appreciative. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Sending you so much love and light, and just sending you the biggest spiritual hug. And bye for now. Sending love and light.